good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, here we have interesting news as Fox and ESPN, they weigh in on legendary, iconic Filipino superstar boxer Manny Pacquiao. 62 wins, 8 losses, 2 draws, 38 big wins by way of knock. 3 times in his career, he was knocked out. With that said, Manny Pacquiao, 42 years of age, stands at 5'5" with a 67-inch arm reach. He calls it a career after his fight with Cuban star boxer, who is now the WBA super champion, Yordenis Ugas, that took place August 21st. With that said, Manny Pacquiao lost a unanimous decision to Yordenis Ugas, and now Manny Pacquiao, he has let it be known that he is. So Manny Pacquiao, he's called it a career, and he let it be known that he's running for president. We already previously knew that Manny Pacquiao was going to run for president in the Philippines, as he's already the Senate in the Philippines, and he's looking to make a change in his home country. Manny Pacquiao, he came up the hard way out the mud. Manny Pacquiao, he was homeless at one point, had to, find odd ways to eat and survive and things of that nature. And look what he turned himself into, a multi-millionaire, a Senate in the Philippines, and he's looking to make a change, okay? With that said, obviously, Fox, ESPN, they're going to celebrate Manny Pacquiao's illustrious career, as they should. But in doing so, they downplay and water down his biggest rival in Olympic silver medalist, who should have been Olympic gold medalist, a 5-division world champion, pound-for-pound king, pay-per-view king, holds every record for pay-per-views, retired 50-0, and defeated Manny Pacquiao very handily, very easily, that being none other than FLOYD "Money" Mayweather. Okay? They're going to forever be tied to one another. That's understandable. Okay? But they take the opportunity to water down FLOYD Mayweather. And they let and misdirect the fans. Okay? You have casual boxing fans that may not know some of the things that took place. So they irresponsibly misdirect the fans. Now, we know these platforms aren't the biggest boxing platforms. Okay? Boxing is no longer a mainstream sport in the United States. Okay? That would be the 4 major sports is the NFL, the NBA, NHL, and Major League Baseball. Then you have NCAA football, NCAA basketball, tennis. These are all sports that are bigger than the sport of boxing, right? Now, boxing, though, can steal the show on any given Saturday, especially depending upon who the 2 guys are going to grace the square circle in the main event. So with that said, FLOYD Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao, they fought in a 5-year, highly anticipated showdown. Now, the fight took place in May of 2015. It was talked about since 2010, okay, when FLOYD Mayweather, he went on a hiatus after he beat Olympic gold medalist, former 5-division world champion, Mexican superstar boxer Oscar the Golden Boy De La Hoya. After FLOYD Mayweather beat Oscar De La Hoya, FLOYD Mayweather went on a small hiatus. Then he came back, he fought Ricky Hatton. Actually, he didn't even go. He fought Ricky Hatton in December of that year. Fought Oscar De La Hoya in May, fought Ricky Hatton in December. Then he went on a 2-year hiatus. He came back, he fought Juan Manuel Marquez and Shane Mosley. But when he came back and he fought Juan Manuel Marquez, a 4-division world champion, Mexican superstar boxer, he was linked to Manny Pacquiao at that point in time because Manny Pacquiao has surprised many people, shockingly, moving up from the lower weight classes, going all the way up to 147, which people thought was a mistake, challenging Oscar De La Hoya. And most people thought that Oscar De La Hoya could possibly hurt Manny Pacquiao. Even the Filipino Senate and the Filipino politicians and the people in the Philippines, they petitioned not to allow the fight to take place because they were in fear that Manny Pacquiao could seriously get hurt. But Manny Pacquiao, he shocked the world. He dominated Oscar De La Hoya in that fight. And when he dominated Oscar De La Hoya in that fight, it created all types of headlines, okay? And after doing so, after he dominated Oscar De La Hoya back in 2008, December of 2008, now that was 1 year after FLOYD Mayweather beat him, okay? And he stopped Oscar De La Hoya on the stool. Now, FLOYD Mayweather, he fought to a decision. in a close fight, okay, with Oscar De La Hoya. Once he did that, Manny Pacquiao, he beat Oscar De La Hoya in December 2008. The ball started to get rolling, and people's brains started to churn and started to say, oh, can he actually beat Floyd Mayweather? Okay, he dominated all the lower weight classes. He dominated 6, 7 weight classes below him. Can he actually go up and dominate and beat Floyd Mayweather? Can he actually be a contender? Okay, then he fought Ricky Hatton, that being Manny Pacquiao, okay, in May of 2009, and he easily dispatched of Ricky Hatton. Now, keep in mind, Floyd Mayweather had fought Ricky Hatton right after he fought Oscar De La Hoya. So he fought Ricky Hatton in 2007, okay, in December 2007. And then Ricky Hatton fought Manny Pacquiao in May of 2009, 2 years later. And he knocked out Ricky Hatton in brutal fashion in the first few rounds, okay, where it took Floyd Mayweather 10 rounds before he knocked out Ricky Hatton. But keep in mind, Ricky Hatton was an undefeated, very high confident fighter going into the Floyd Mayweather fight, coming off of one of the biggest wins against Costa Tszyu and stopping Costa Tszyu, okay? And Costa Tszyu is a Hall of Famer in the sport of boxing. So Ricky Hatton shocked the world stopping Costa Tszyu. So Floyd Mayweather stops Ricky Hatton, who called out Floyd Mayweather, okay, in 2007, December 2007. Manny Pacquiao, he then stopped Ricky Hatton in 2009, okay? And then the ball really starts to get rolling. At that point, everybody's calling for Floyd Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao after Manny Pacquiao disposed of Ricky Hatton, okay? So Floyd Mayweather comes back in 2009 after he's hearing all the chirping that Manny Pacquiao could possibly beat him. Comes back in 2009. He calls for the fight with Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao and his team, they state that Floyd Mayweather, they didn't want to fight Floyd Mayweather coming straight away off a 2-year layoff, okay? They held up the fight at that point in time. This is what many people don't talk about, and they don't let you know. When Floyd Mayweather came back, before he fought Juan Manuel Marquez, he wanted to fight Manny Pacquiao straight away, coming off of the hiatus. They turned it down and said they wouldn't get the credit for beating Floyd Mayweather because he's coming straight off of a retirement and a 2-year layoff. So Floyd Mayweather, he got upset. He said, how they telling me I need a tune-up match? I don't need no tune-up matches. So what Floyd Mayweather did at that point in time, okay, he fought Manny Pacquiao's biggest rival in Juan Manuel Marquez, who at that point in time had already fought Manny Pacquiao 2 times in a very close fight. Now, in the first fight, Manny Pacquiao had dropped Juan Manuel Marquez 3 times in the first round, okay? And then they fought again, and they fought to a draw. I mean, the first fight ended in a draw, and then they fought again, and Manny Pacquiao, he got a close decision victory over Juan Manuel Marquez, okay? So the first fight took place in 2004, where they fought to a draw when Manny Pacquiao dropped Marquez 3 times in 1 round, and Marquez still got up to fight to a draw, so that lets you know just how close that fight was, okay? Then they fought again in 2008, okay? And Manny Pacquiao got a split decision victory over Juan Manuel Marquez, okay? And so when he got a split decision victory over Juan Manuel Marquez, it was seen as Marquez should have got the victory in that fight. And most people thought that Marquez should have got the victory in the first fight. So Floyd Mayweather, after Manny Pacquiao and his team told him that you have to have a tune-up fight, so Floyd Mayweather said, well, you know what? I'm going to pick the guy that you struggle with. You do it right the first time, you shouldn't have to do it again and again. So Floyd Mayweather, who only had 1 rematch in his career against Jose Luis Castillo and dominated the rematch. He actually dominated the first fight, but most people, every close fight Floyd Mayweather was in, they say it was a loss for Floyd Mayweather. So with that said, he goes into a fight September of 2009, excuse me, against Juan Manuel Marquez, right? So he chose the guy that Manny Pacquiao was struggling with, okay? And so he goes in a fight, gets a unanimous decision, dominates Juan Manuel Marquez, and then he calls out Manny Pacquiao once more. Okay, now Floyd Mayweather, he wants to fight with Manny Pacquiao again. Okay, Shane Mosley, he jumps in the ring with Floyd Mayweather after Floyd Mayweather dominated Juan Manuel Marquez, and he tells Floyd Mayweather, you know, fight somebody your own size. We know the rest is history. Okay, he tells Floyd Mayweather you need to fight somebody your own size, and then the people started to call for Floyd Mayweather versus Sugar Shane Mosley. Okay. And Floyd Mayweather, you know, he came in the fight. They were supposed to have a catch weight of 144, 145 with himself and Juan Manuel Marquez, and he came in at 147, 2-year layoff. And people said the 2 pounds was the reason why he beat Marquez. He dominated Marquez, not with his size, with his skill. So then Shane Mosley, like I stated, jumped in the ring with Floyd Mayweather, and he called out Floyd Mayweather immediately after the fight. They had the scuffle. And then the rest is history. In May of 2010, he fights Shane Mosley. He dominates Shane Mosley. He then calls out Manny Pacquiao once again. He wants to fight Manny Pacquiao. But now he tells Manny Pacquiao he's hearing rumors that Manny Pacquiao could possibly be, using PEDs, performance enhancers, okay? So he calls for Olympic-style testing for the fight with Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao declines to do the Olympic-style testing, okay? So Floyd Mayweather, he then states, if anybody's going to fight me, they're going to get it the honest way, okay? It's going to be on a clean, even platform, and, we should do Olympic-style testing, and, if you're going to beat me, let's just be on an even playing field. Manny Pacquiao, he then stated he didn't like needles. Manny Pacquiao stated that he didn't like to give blood. It makes him weak. It'll drain him for the fight, so on and so forth. Then he wanted to know when they were going to come and test them, Olympic-style testing. They come randomly, so he wanted to be aware when they was coming. And so that prolonged the fight, okay? So Floyd Mayweather said, listen, if you're not going to be tested in a clean boxer, we ain't fighting. Okay, so that prolonged the fight. Then Floyd Mayweather, he went on to fight September again after the Shane Mosley fight. He fought Victor Ortiz in September 2011. Then he fought Robert Guerrero. He then signed that major deal with Showtime, 5-fight deal with Showtime, 6-fight deal with Showtime. He fought Robert Guerrero in May of 2013. Then he fought Canelo Alvarez. And here's where the disrespect comes in with ESPN and Fox, okay? Then they state that Floyd Mayweather cherry-picked Canelo Alvarez, okay? He cherry-picked Canelo Alvarez, who he knew was green, who he knew was right for the picking before he let Canelo Alvarez groom. And he chose Canelo Alvarez, who he knew he could dominate, okay? And he dominated the fight. Well, no. Canelo Alvarez had already had 43 fights in his career. Okay, 43 fights. Yes, he was 23 years of age. But Canelo Alvarez and Oscar De La Hoya, they continue to pursue Floyd Mayweather. Okay, they continue to say that. And as well as the boxing world, this is let you know they're not very educated in the sport of boxing when it comes to quote-unquote mainstream media. Because the boxing world was calling for this fight and saying Floyd Mayweather was avoiding Canelo Alvarez, okay, who was a 154-pound junior middleweight, okay? And Floyd Mayweather, who's a small guy, not the biggest guy, 5'8" with a 72-inch arm reach, barely weighs 147 pounds in his fights. And Canelo Alvarez, junior middleweight, who was at the time struggling to make 154, he was so eager to fight Floyd Mayweather, and Oscar De La Hoya in the boxing world was saying Floyd Mayweather would never take a challenge like Canelo Alvarez. That Floyd Mayweather was 36 years of age, Canelo Alvarez was 23. And so Canelo Alvarez even went as far as to say he'll fight at a catchweight of 152 to fight Floyd Mayweather. So Floyd Mayweather obliged and took the fight. He dominated the fight, and everybody, just like expected, everybody's using excuses to why Floyd Mayweather won. Now was the age, and he was too green, but he called for the fight. Oscar De La Hoya called for the fight. The boxing pundits called for the fight, and the boxing fans called for the fight. They even went as far as to say Floyd Mayweather was avoiding Canelo Alvarez, and he accepted the fight, and he dominated the fight at 36 years of age. They'll tell you how young Canelo Alvarez is, but they won't tell you how old Floyd Mayweather is, okay? So, with that said, look at Sugar Ray Leonard at 36. Look at Muhammad Ali at 36. Look at Roy Jones at 36. And look at Floyd Mayweather at 36. And beating Canelo Alvarez, okay? Then he goes on to fight Marcos El Chino Maidana twice in 2014. And then he gets the fight with Manny Pacquiao May of 2015, okay? And in the meantime, Manny Pacquiao, he then goes on to fight Juan Manuel Marquez again in a very close fight, okay? In which people thought that Marquez should have won the fight in 2011. Okay, now at this time he fights Marquez 3 times. Then he fights Marquez again in 2012, okay, in a 4th fight, and gets brutally knocked out by Juan Manuel Marquez, knocked out cold. So you can make a case that Marquez won all 4 fights. We know he definitely won the 4th fight. because he brutally knocked out Manny Pacquiao. The first fight, I thought Manny Pacquiao should have gotten a 9 if the 3 knockdown rule was in effect, but it wasn't. So, nonetheless, it ended in a draw. And one of the judges scored the knockdown round. But anyway, it still was a very close fight with him knocking him down 3 times. And in the 2 fights in between, you can make a case Marquez won those fights. So with that said, you get now people saying that Floyd Mayweather dominates Manny Pacquiao, and they have another excuse. Now ESPN and Fox, they're telling you that, well, he had an injured shoulder. Okay? You have Skip and Shannon telling you he had an injured shoulder. You have Stephen A. Smith and Screaming A. Smith telling the world that Manny Pacquiao had an injured shoulder, okay, going into the fight. And Floyd Mayweather waited 5 years too long for this fight to take place, when it wasn't. The accountability needs to be on Manny Pacquiao, because in 2015 in May, he still ended up taking Olympic-style testing that Floyd Mayweather asked for in 2010. So he prolonged the fight and let the fight drag for 5 years and still obliged and took the Olympic-style testing. So why didn't he just take it in 2010? And Floyd Mayweather dominated the fight, and now they're telling you he injured his shoulder in sparring ahead of the Floyd Mayweather fight. But then you ask Manny Pacquiao, look at the interview, he said he hurt his shoulder in the 2nd or 3rd round in the actual fight. But then they tell you he hurt his shoulder in sparring before the fight even took place. So which one is it? Then he told the world. Then you have ESPN, Stephen A. Smith and Fox, Skip Bayless telling the world that he had immediate shoulder surgery immediately following the fight, when that's not true. Manny Pacquiao told the world that he didn't get surgery. He didn't want surgery because the salt water in the Philippines healed his shoulder. Okay, so they're misleading the fans, and they're misleading the casual fans to believe that his career was greater than Floyd Mayweather because he fought absolute everybody. Well, they don't talk about the pretty boy Floyd Mayweather stage, when Floyd Mayweather called out the likes of Prince Nassim Hamed, when he called out the likes of Shane Mosley in his absolute prime. And Shane Mosley said he had a toothache, and Prince Nassim Hamed refused to fight Floyd Mayweather. When he called out Joel Casamayor, who refused to fight Floyd Mayweather. When he called out Oscar De La Hoya, Oscar De La Hoya said he was too high of a risk, too low of a reward. Okay. When he called out Acelina Freitas before he lost to Diego Corrales, and Acelina Freitas said the money wasn't right, okay? When he was willing to fight Antonio Margarito, but Antonio Margarito and Bob Arum was unwilling to give Floyd Mayweather the money he was looking for to stage the fight, okay? This is what they won't tell you. They won't tell you the pretty boy Floyd Mayweather stage. They'll talk about the Money Mayweather stage when the ball was in his court, and now everybody had to answer to him to make the fights happen. And at that point in time, he picked and chose when he fought those guys, because now the ball was in his court, and when he wanted to fight them in his absolute prime at Pretty Boy Floyd, they didn't want to fight him. Shane Mosley took to fight him all these years later, but when he called out Shane Mosley, when Shane Mosley beat Oscar De La Hoya, when Shane Mosley was knocking everybody out, and Shane Mosley said he had a toothache and he had to get his teeth fixed, go on vacation with his family, talk it over, and then Shane Mosley insisted that Floyd Mayweather should just go ahead and fight Margarito, and then I'll look to fight the winner. Okay? They don't talk about that. They don't talk about Costa Zoo refusing to fight him, thought he had easier road in Ricky Hatton, and losing to Ricky Hatton, and Floyd Mayweather beating Ricky Hatton when he was trying to fight Costa Zoo as well. They're not going to tell you that. But they'll tell you that Manny Pacquiao fought any and everybody, anywhere, any place. And Floyd Mayweather was willing to fight anybody, anywhere, any place. Period. And he beat Manny Pacquiao. So that's all I got for y'all. Make sure you hit the like button. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue, Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed? Hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button. Hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Raw. Make sure you like and share the videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.
Oh, it is your boy Jada Kiss. Make sure you check out Blue Blood Sports TV. It's going down.